last week we looked at depression. Just sometimes when it comes to Thanksgiving and Christmas, there's depression that can happen within our lives because of situations or things, loss, etc. that's going on. And sometimes we get a little disoriented. And that depression can almost consume us within our lives that we dread the holidays. And we just were reminded last week, we looked at this beautiful story of Naomi and Ruth, this beautiful story of when it looked like Naomi's whole life was destroyed. Like her husband and 2 sons, like they die and she's left with no one, but Ruth comes with her, and in the midst of it, God keeps working in her life. And it's this idea that the pain of our life doesn't keep God from working in our life, and God is working to restore joy. Like, I don't think God wants you to be happy. Happy is just like whatever. Like He wants to give you joy. Like rooted gospel joy in your life. And we just reminded that you're not depression. That's not your name. It's not like, hey, depression's coming. That's not who you are, right? So you can feel that. Like you might feel that in your life, but it's not your identity. And so we just had some fun with that last week. And so today's going to be a good one, I think, you guys. Just the topic itself. We'll see, hopefully the Lord will, do his thing. All right, unforgiveness. I was reminded that wasn't a word today. It should be, by the way. Unforgiveness. Like one of the big obstacles sometimes, some of the dysfunction that happens in our families is because there is some unforgiveness that's there. Now, I didn't realize this, but growing up, my little brother and little sister said that I was a bully. I thought I was funny. I didn't think like I was bully. I was just funny. Like I remember my little brother one day, he's eating ravioli, and we got him to kind of move like where he was looking. I dropped some M&Ms in his ravioli and like covered it up. And, he was always like mom's kind of favorite a little bit, And so Dave, he's just crushing ravioli. He's like, Mom, this is so good. He's like, it tastes a little chocolatey, but it is so good. And me and my sister, we're dying laughing, Well, he didn't think it was that funny. And I didn't know, later on, carry a little bit of that. My sister, this one time, she's getting ready to go to the prom, and I got home from football practice, and I was just a sweaty mess. And I thought it'd be great to give her a big hug in her prom dress. And she ran up the steps and it ripped a little bit, and I got a hold of her and gave her a big hug, and I thought it's kind of fun. It's funny, right? She did not think so. And not funny. I'm like, and there were years that went by, and eventually, as you get older, sometimes you have these little conversations and realize that that was a big deal to her. That was a big deal. How many of you? Those 2 little funny stories. I've got other ones, but how many of you'd say, I've got some unforgiveness. There's might be some tension in the homes over Thanksgiving and Christmas. Here are just some ways. Here's what we do, I think. The big way, the big obstacle that keeps us from stepping into forgiveness is this. It's easier to sweep it underneath the rug. Isn't it? It's just easier. Just sweep it underneath the rug. We'll just try to pretend that it didn't happen. And then sometimes we'll ignore the tension and become a stone wall. So how many of us maybe have been to Thanksgiving and Christmas or stepping into it, and maybe there's been someone in the room where they're present, but they're not really there? Yep. Maybe some of you, you think, when I go to that house, it won't be soon enough that we can get away. Sometimes we just become like a stone wall. We're just not really there. Or maybe there are some of us we don't like confrontation. We just don't like it. And so it's easier just to kind of let people walk on us. And so we're just a doormat a little bit. Like if any of that resonates with you, I think today is going to be super helpful. We've got a great little story, Genesis chapter 33, if you've got your Bible with you. It's the first book in the Bible. It's the story of Jacob and Esau. Now, they're an interesting brothers. I mean, they're super fun. So Esau is born first, and Jacob is literally has a hold of Esau's foot as they're being born. And so he's named Jacob, which means a heel grabber, also means deceiver. And that's exactly who he is for the first part of his life. Now, Esau is his daddy's favorite. So anybody, were you daddy's favorite? You got brothers and sisters, right? All right, Esau was daddy's favorite. And Jacob was mama's favorite. Anybody, any mama's boys in here, girls? Right? Yeah, uh-huh. And so early, or as I got a little bit older, there was just one moment where Esau was hungry, like super hungry, because he was always out working with dad while Jacob was home with mama. And so he comes home, he's super hungry, and Jacob's like, I'll give you, I've got some raviolis here. There's no chocolate in them, but I've got some. And I'll give you some ravioli, but you need to give me your birthright. You give me your birthright, I give you Chef Boyardee. How's that sound? And Esau does it. And then, like, later on, Isaac's getting old. Like some of you guys are getting a little older, including myself, like getting older, and he can't see very well at all. And his wife tells Jacob, like, hey, why, let's dress you up like Esau, okay? And we'll, you'll wear his clothes, so you'll kind of smell like dad won't be able to know, and let's trick dad into giving you Esau's inheritance. How about that? So Jacob goes and does it. And then mom's like, he's going to kill you when he gets home. So you better run. Like, you better get away. And so Jacob goes. My guess is there's a little bit of tension between Jacob and Esau. Right? There's probably a little bit of unforgiveness that's there. Jacob's gone for 14 years. And then he's back on the run from Laban, all right? And he finds himself in Genesis 32. It's one of the good ones in the scriptures. In Genesis 32, he finds himself wrestling. The text doesn't actually say God, but it seems like he's wrestling with God. And the sun's getting ready to come up, and God's like, bro, if you see me face to face, you will die. You need to let go. And Jacob says, I'm not going to let go until you do what? Anybody? Until you bless me. Like, just a side note, it's just a great discipline is this in your life. Wrestle before you settle. Wrestle before you settle. Like, this is not even has nothing to do with the message today, but some of you all settle way too much. Sometimes I settle way too much. You need to wrestle before you settle. Jacob says, I'm not going to let go until you bless me. Until you bless me. And so God blesses him and says, no longer are you Jacob. Now you are Israel, which means the one who wrestles with God and overcomes. So Jacob the deceiver now becomes Israel the overcomer. And in fact, a whole nation would be named after him, the Israelites. And God also dislocated his hip in the midst of it. One of my buddies says this, everybody wants the blessing from God, no one wants to walk with a limp. Everyone wants the blessing of God, but no one wants to walk with a limp. Yeah. So then we get to that happened in 32. Right here, 33 is where we are this morning. And we're going to see this reuniting that takes place. It seems that Jacob has let Esau know he's coming. All right? He's let Esau know he's coming. Jacob's not sure that Esau, like he doesn't know, is he still mad? Like, is he over it, the whole thing? And so Jacob literally he's got a bunch of people now, and a bunch of property and all this kind of deal. And so he has like basically groups staggered until they get to him. It's almost like they have to kill Esau would have to kill a whole bunch of people to finally get to him, all right? And Esau's not really sure what's up either, so he sends like 400 people out in front of him. So they've got some boundaries like set in place. Jacob, lets him know I'm coming, so there's a heads up, and then they have a conversation. They don't sweep it underneath the rug anymore. And you know what? It's amazing when you actually talk to someone or you look someone in the face or you legit say like, I messed that up. Like, I should not have put chocolate in your ravioli. I should not have hugged you sweaty in your prom dress. You just fill in the blanks, but something, when you say that, like, when you legit own it, or when someone, like, legit owns it to you, like, I've yet to have someone say, Chad, I really messed up there. I trespassed against you, and I am deeply sorry. I've yet to hit someone in the face when they say that. Like, I've yet to be like, well, I really hate you now for saying that. Like, I've wanted to tear some people up, though, for not owning their part. In Jacob, verse 1, in Jacob 33, and Jacob lifted up his eyes and he looked, and behold, Esau was coming, and 400 men with him. So he divided the children among Leah and Rachel and the two female servants, and he put the servants with their children in front, then Leah with her children, then Rachel and Joseph last of all. He himself went on before them, bowing himself to the ground 7 times until he came near his brother. But Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. I mean, you imagine not seeing your brother for 14 years or your sister, and the last time that you saw them, like, it was basically the relationship was over. And when Esau lifted up his eyes and he saw the women and children, he said, who are these with you? And Jacob said, the children whom God has graciously given your servant. And then the servants drew near, they and their children, and they bowed down. And Leah likewise, and her children drew near and bowed down. And last Joseph and Rachel drew near, and they bowed down. And Esau said, what do you mean by all this company that I met? And Jacob answered, to find favor in the sight of my Lord. But Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself. And Jacob said, no, please, if I have found favor in your sight, then accept my present from my hand. In other words, like, it's all yours. I stole it from you. Like, I stole Dad's blessing, and this is it, and it's awesome, but it's not mine. It's yours. I stole it. Like, just owning it, you know? For I've seen your face, which is like seeing the face of God, and you have accepted me. Please accept my blessing that is brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, because I have enough. Thus he urged him, and he took it. Okay, I just want to unpack a little bit for us around what it looks like for us to press into forgiveness, to not sweep things underneath the rug, to not pretend something's not going on, to acknowledge any awkward tension that we have within our lives, specifically within our families that you're going to be seeing perhaps over Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I just want to start with this. There's something inside of us that longs for forgiveness and reconciliation. Like nobody reads that and you're thinking like that's a bad thing there. Or my guess is like any relationship that was broken and then was restored into something better, that none of you, if you've experienced that, are like, I wish that hadn't have happened. I would have rather been broken. Well, why is that? It's because you're designed. Like, there's something inside of you that longs for it. There's something inside of me that I long for restoration and reconciliation. When someone says, Chad, you're forgiven, I'm not mad at you anymore, like we're good, I'm like, yes! I just think God has designed you for it. He's designed me for that in my life. In the very same breath, though, Satan is working against this. Like, the devil is a jerk. Okay? Is that fair? Like, he's a jerk. And he wants you to not have reconciliation. He wants you to remain broken. He wants Thanksgiving to be miserable for you. Like, who would say, I hope your Thanksgiving is awful? That is a jerk thing to say. Because it's Thanksgiving. You know? Like, he wants it to be terrible. He wants there to be so much tension in the homes that you go to that you'll actually think about leaving early. How many of you have sat in a home on Thanksgiving or Christmas and thought, how can we get out of here? Not soon enough. Right? Like, that's what the enemy wants in your life, but that's not what God has designed you and me for. He's designed us to experience relationship and hope and peace and all of those things. So as we look towards the holiday, here's what I want you to ask. As you look towards Thanksgiving, Christmas, think in your mind right now, real quick, because I know if you're like me, you split things up. So like my mom and dad, where are you going? Who are you going to see over Thanksgiving, Christmas? Just right now, I want you to think just in that one, yep, that one, that one, all those people. Where is there any unresolved tension and or unforgiveness with those you will see this holiday season? Okay? So, this is the moment where you have a little note here. If you've been with us, you have a note on your phone that says, it's titled Hear and Obey. So you can search it real quickly because that's where you keep track of what God says to you. So, Jesus says in Matthew 16, the dummy, the fool, hears what I say and does nothing with it. Builds his house on the sand and the storms come to crush it. He said that's a dummy does that. Smarty, wise guy, wise lady is the one who hears and obeys. Hears and does. It's like building a house on a foundation. And so we all have these little notes on our phone. It says hear and obey note, so you keep track of what God's doing in your life. It's November the what? 4th? Good gracious. November the 4th, and I would say these are the people that come to mind where I have unresolved tension and or unforgiveness that I'm going to see this holiday season. Now, we're going to split it up. I think there's probably 3 different types of situations. Here's the first one. And we're going to give you a roadmap to these conversations. So, number 1 is this. You know specifically what the trespass is, and you're responsible. Okay? So, you put the chocolate in the ravioli. You gave the sweaty hug. Whatever it is, right? You know what the trespass is, and you're responsible. Here's the first thing to do if you've got that. And here's the thing. I wish this was different, but I don't get to decide what was significant or insignificant to someone else. I'm like, it's just a prom dress, Adrian. Honestly, it's not a big deal. Like, I had football practice today. That's a big deal, right? Like, not, like it's not, like I don't get to decide for someone else what's significant or insignificant. So you might think like, that was so petty, I can't believe them. You don't get to decide. You know, we have two other ones. This is the first one. So you know specifically what the trespass is, and you're responsible. The first thing is you're just going to pray, like, Lord, I know that I've crossed the line. I think it's dumb that they think I crossed the line, but they think it, and I'm going to see them, and I need some help. I need some help because I don't want Satan to steal Thanksgiving from me. Don't you let him do that. Don't let him do that. He is a jerk, and he is not to take that joy away from you. You say, God, I don't want that to happen. And then I'd say probably text message. You give a heads up. But no surprises. Surprises are the worst with this stuff. So no like, I really need to talk to you. None of that. Please, if you send me an email that says, can we sit down and talk about a couple things? Like, I will delete it and not reply. All right? It's called holding someone hostage. It's not nice, right? But you send it and say, hey, last year when I put chocolate in your ravioli, I just feel like I want to talk to you about that. Can we find a time to chat? You just say, hey, remember that? I want to chat with you about that. Can we grab the time this week? Nothing bad. I just feel like I need to own some things to you. So then the talk. You just confess. You just observe and you say, hey, I am so sorry that I hugged you when you were getting ready to go on your prom date. And I came home from football practice and I was nasty. I'm so sorry for that. What you don't say is this. You don't say, I'm sorry that you felt like you don't apologize for their feelings, okay? Like you don't say like, I'm sorry that you felt belittled when you ate chocolate. No, that's not helpful, okay? So you own your stuff. You own, because if you apologize, it feels kind of like it's actually your fault that you felt that way. No, you just own it. Own it. I'm sorry for that. Like I should have been better. I should have just thought through it, and I didn't. And I love you, and I just, I want to. I don't want there anything to be weird between us. And I know that, number 4, I know that there might be some boundaries now or some consequences like I got to deal with. Like I get that, and I'm not asking you to just give me the best Big Brother award right now. But I am asking that if there's any way that we could start to move forward, I really like that. Okay? And then if there's some boundaries that need to be created, you just do that. Now, that's not easy. Okay? It's not easy. If it was, everybody would do that, and no one would have unforgiveness in their life over Thanksgiving and Christmas. Okay? It's not easy, it's hard, but it's what? It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. I absolutely believe almost a month's salary. I'm kidding. No, I absolutely believe that if you do that, that the person you talk to will say, thank you so much. I forgive you. All right, the second one is this. So, you know something's off, but you don't know exactly why. That's probably the one that's more common, isn't it? Like, you probably are, some of you may be going into a deal over the next few weeks where something may be off with someone in your family, but you don't know exactly why. So you pray for wisdom, and then same thing. Nobody likes surprises. Give them a heads up. Hey, I want to talk to you about us. I want to talk to you about us. I had to do this. The worst thing about preaching is you actually feel like you have to do the stuff that you preach. You know? Like, that's the worst thing about it. Like, I actually feel like, now I have to do that, or else I'm saying one thing and doing another, and that feels off. So, you give a heads up, hey, can I chat? I do it with my sister. It's a different thing. We've already had the prom dress conversation. So this is one, I don't know something's off. I don't know why. I don't know why. So you just give a heads up and you call hey, it just feels, I don't know what's going on. It just feels like there's something going on between us right now. There's some little tension. Now, granted, these are people you know. Okay? You're not getting a hold of someone. These, maybe people who've walked with you longer than a lot of other people have. They know you. You know them. Hey, I just feel like something's off. And I'm so sorry if I should know, but have I done anything? Did I do something? Did I do something? Did I cross a line? Did I make a trespass? Please, if I did, please tell me, because I want to make it right with you. Have you ever made somebody upset and you had no idea they were upset at you? You had no idea what you did? Come on, I know. Oh my gosh. And the way my personality is, it's it's all the time. It's all the time. And there's never been a moment when someone has come to me and said, and I've been hey, what's going on? They're like, well, you said this, and it really hurt my feelings. I don't say, well, you need to toughen up a little bit. No, I'm oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for that. I didn't know. I didn't know that I trespassed. I'm sorry for that. Wouldn't you want to know from somebody that you love that if you've trespassed against them, that you'd be able to figure out what it was and you could own it and just say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for that. And so if it's there, you just got to own your part. This is also the part where you're I'm sorry you felt that way. You don't know. That's not good. Don't say that. Ask and offer forgiveness. And I think just like with Jacob and Esau, you'll have some reconciliation there. For me in that conversation this past week, I realized that there wasn't tension with me that I was sensing, but there was some tension just going on in her life. And gosh, as we talked for an hour and a half, and I'm so thankful for that, because now my heart was just broken in that conversation, but now I know what I can be praying. I can, join the Lion of Judah in battling for her. But if I just swept underneath the rug and didn't name it, I wouldn't be able to partner with her in that. Does that make sense? All right, and here's the last one. Now, this is intentionally last because this is the one that we'll go to the most, because we like to point the speck out in someone else's eye before we remove the plank from our own, okay? Christians are super good at that, right? So, however, there may be some dynamics in your life as you go into Thanksgiving and Christmas when it comes to unforgiveness, where you've been trespassed against and it's unresolved. So someone may have crossed a line with you and it's unresolved. Either they know it and they just ignored it, or they don't know it because you haven't said anything about it. You know what's the worst is sometimes when you sweep this stuff underneath the rug, it comes out anyways, doesn't it? Anybody been in a room like where it was supposed to be super joyful, and it was like, this is way awkward right now, right? Or you had to wake up the next morning and we're like, I don't know if I can look at them after what I said last night. Like often this stuff will come out. It'll just come out in unhealthy ways because it's there. Like, let's just get proactive and step on Satan's neck right now so that jerk face will not have his way and God can, do something great in your life and your family over Thanksgiving and Christmas. So here it is. So pray. The first thing is, do you need to bring it up? Like, do you want to bring it up just to make them feel bad? Because that's not nice. Or is there actually a trespass that we need to talk about this in order to move forward? It's going to be hard for me to be joyful if we don't get some resolution here. Do you need to bring it up? Say, guys, give them a heads up. Heads up. Hey, I want to chat with you about when you put chocolate in my ravioli last Thanksgiving. That happened a long time ago. It wasn't last Thanksgiving, but you get the point. Now, number 3, this is so important. Own your part first. There's some Navy SEALs wrote a book called Extreme Ownership. Anybody familiar with it? Incredible. But first part, you got to own your part first. So part of owning your part is saying, I let this go for too long. I should have talked to you about this, and I swept it underneath the rug, and I am so sorry for that. It wasn't fair for me to do that. And so I don't want to do it anymore, so that's why I want to talk to you about it. Own your part first. Name where you feel trespass against. And then forgiveness is always given. Trust is always earned. Okay? So you can forgive, absolutely. Now, the whole trust thing might not be there, depending on the trespass. And that's okay. It doesn't need to be. Forgiveness is always given. Trust is always earned. So forgive them, regardless of their response. And then if you need to create some boundaries, make sure all the chocolate's out of the house before you eat ravioli, whatever it may be, you do that. Create some boundaries along the way. Again, it's not easy, you guys. It's not easy. What I want and hope for your life over the next 3 weeks is I would love for you to be an instrument of gospel joy to your loved ones in a few weeks and next month in December. I'd love for part of the testimony of your life to be your brother or your sister or your mom or your dad or your aunt or your uncle or your cousin or your friend to say, I'm so thankful that you contacted me and we had that conversation. I would love for that to be the story versus, gosh, I really don't want to go there. I hope we don't have to see them. I don't know how I'm going to act when they're in the room. Now, at the end of the day, we all get to decide those things. I think God will show up for you there. I really do.